When we try to improve our skin, we usually think about products, complicated routines, ingredients with difficult names. But a lot of the things that ruin our skin happen way before that, right in our sleep routine. And it is interesting how no one pays attention to these small details that pile up and eventually become a huge problem over time. The first one is so simple that many people think it is silly: changing your pillowcase. If the pillowcase spends days there without attention, without being changed or washed, full of face cream, hair cream, sweat, skin oil, and on top of that all drool, there is practically a new ecosystem in there, and the bacteria are basically having a party. It is everything your skin does not need. And the most practical way to solve this is to alternate the sides and change it a few times a week whenever possible. It seems like a small detail, but it greatly reduces daily irritation. And since we are talking about pillowcases, the fabric also changes everything. Some fabrics pull the moisture from your skin, literally absorb what you just applied. Fabric that is too rough also creates unnecessary friction, and you are basically scrubbing your skin while you sleep. That is why smoother fabrics like satin or silk have become favorites. They help the skin and also improve your hair, which is a bonus. Another very common mistake is not sleeping enough. The famous beauty sleep is not just a pretty name. Without enough sleep, the skin cannot recover. People who sleep poorly wake up looking more tired, more dull, more irritated, with dark circles, and besides all the other problems, you live less, you seem like you have ADHD, and your patience is like a tiger's. It is as if the body is trying to do a renovation and gets interrupted every single night. And there is also that thing of sleeping with your face squished into the pillow. This creates what we call sleep lines. Lines that appear in the same place because the pressure is repeated. At first, they seem harmless, but over time they become permanent, and once they settle in, my friend, there is no point getting upset when someone says your face looks squashed, because it really will be. Sleeping on your back helps a lot. Sleeping on your side can also work as long as your face is not smashed. I know many people are used to sleeping practically folded up, curled up, like an earphone cable that was left in your pocket, but this is one of those small adjustments that make a long-term difference. A mistake many people do not even notice is applying their whole skincare routine and lying down immediately. If the skin has no time to absorb it, a big part of the products ends up on the pillowcase. This reduces the effect and still contaminates the fabric, creating an ecosystem of bacteria to the point where you could practically name them because of how much ends up on the fabric. So waiting a few minutes before lying down already changes the results. Letting the skin absorb at its own pace makes everything work better. And here comes one last point that closes the nighttime routine: the environment where you do your skincare. When you create a calm space without rush, the application becomes more delicate and the products have that natural time to work. This completes the night cycle, preparing the skin for what comes the next day. And speaking of preparation, there is another phase of the routine that destroys a lot of skin daily, and it happens in the shower. Hot water, shower pressure, wrong towels, harsh soaps. Let's think a bit. You take a shower with water practically boiling like you are scalding a pig. What do you think your skin is going to feel about that? Then, as if the hot water were not enough, it falls at high pressure like you are in a hot hailstorm. Then you use body soap and start scrubbing your skin like you want to remove a whole layer. And on top of that, you use the same towel you use to dry your feet, and I will not even mention the other things on your face. Do you think that is healthy for your skin? All of this takes a toll, so let's understand the impact of it. When someone gets to the shower part of their routine thinking they are doing everything right, that is usually where a lot of problems actually begin. And it is almost always because of things so automatic that you do not even notice they are hurting your skin every single day. One of the most common mistakes shows up right in the shower: water that is way too hot hitting your face directly. Sometimes the pressure is so strong, almost aggressive, that it catches your skin off guard. Hot water dries out, irritates, and depending on the pressure, it really does damage. Remember, you are taking a shower, not cooking. There is no need to boil your body. The best thing is to use your hands to control temperature and intensity, letting the water touch your face in a softer way. Just that already avoids a lot of damage. Then comes the towel. A lot of people dry their face with the same towel they use on their whole body. That is practically begging for dirt and friction to build up. I was not even going to say this to keep the video cleaner, but you need this awareness. You are drying your face with the same towel you dry your butt with, and sometimes you use that towel for the entire week. And it is not just the bath towel. The hand towel is another problem, because it is almost never changed every day, and it turns into a bacterial festival. Have you ever thought about that? The ideal is to have a towel just for your face, soft, clean, and without scrubbing hard. Just pat and absorb. Simple and much safer for your skin. Soap is another critical point. Many people choose the wrong product thinking clean skin is the kind that feels tight. But tightness is not a sign of cleanliness, it is a sign of damage. When your face feels tense right after washing, it means your natural oils were removed too aggressively. That makes oiliness worse, increases irritation, and can even cause acne. Gentler soaps, foam cleansers, or cleansers for normal skin usually work better for most people. So ideally, use a soap only for your face, and if you live with someone else, choose liquid soap. Another thing almost no one considers is the neck. It is part of the skin of your face, but it always gets forgotten. When you clean your face, you need to include your neck and the area behind your ears. Facial soap is the best option there. Body soap, especially the strong ones, are not appropriate. The skin in that area is sensitive and deserves the same care as your face. There is also the issue of hard water, which happens a lot for people who live in areas with excess minerals in the water. It changes the pH, leaves residue on the skin, and can cause dermatitis or constant irritation. When that happens, it is important to avoid soaps with sulfates, because those ingredients react with the water and stick even more to your skin. Cleansers for sensitive skin are better in these cases. Simple adjustments avoid a lot of discomfort. The way you remove makeup also matters a lot, especially in the eye area. That skin is extremely thin and fragile, so any harsher rubbing already speeds up aging. The best thing is to use products that dissolve makeup without friction, like cleansing oils or balm cleansers. That way mascara and eyeliner melt off without effort. Gentle movements make a huge difference over time. And a final detail many people forget about is makeup brushes and sponges. If they go days or weeks without washing, they collect dirt, oil, and bacteria in the same way a pillowcase does. All of that goes right back onto your skin during application. And I think you already know what is going to happen to your skin after that, right? People with acne or sensitivity usually get much worse because of this and have no idea where it is coming from. Washing your brushes often is part of skincare, not an optional extra. Otherwise, you are basically throwing away the results your products should be giving you. And all of this from the shower and cleansing routine leads to another area almost no one considers, but that affects the skin a lot. External factors, those everyday things that look harmless but irritate, dry out, heat up, and inflame the skin without warning. When people think about skincare, they usually imagine only products and routines. But there is a silent group of villains that cause damage without any warning. They are external factors, those small moments in your day that seem harmless but irritate, dry out, and inflame the skin like it is nothing. A very common example happens in the kitchen. When you open the oven and that hot air hits your face. It is almost instinctive to open it and lean closer, but that blast of heat is terrible, especially for people who have melasma or dark spots. Intense heat activates pigmentation and sensitizes the skin, and you do not even need to have melasma for this to affect you. Excess heat is more than enough to cause irritation. After all, if that heat can roast your chicken, imagine what it does to your skin. The same goes for the hairdryer. A lot of people point the hot air toward their face to dry their hair without realizing how much that dries everything out. Constant hot air is an invitation for fine lines and sensitivity. Small adjustments in the direction of the dryer already solve a lot, unless besides your hair you also want to dry your skin. If that is the case, go ahead and blow it right on your face, no problem. And then there's the steam from the kitchen too. When the pot is releasing that strong steam, your skin gets a heat shock much stronger than it seems. If this happens every day, it becomes a cycle of irritation. Just keeping some distance while cooking already protects a lot. The sun does not even need an introduction. You could make an entire video about the sun alone, because there is no such thing as a healthy tan. A tan is a defense response. It is the skin saying it is being attacked. UVA and UVB rays break down collagen, speed up aging, and increase the risk of skin cancer. Even with sunscreen, this still happens, because sunscreen does not block everything. Avoiding peak hours is one of the simplest ways to prevent damage. Going early or late in the afternoon solves most of the problem. And since we are talking about protection, protective clothing makes a much bigger difference than most people imagine. Hats, UV protective fabrics, clothes that cover shoulders and arms. But some people use only the clothing and forget the sunscreen. Light reflects, bounces off bright surfaces, comes back to your face, and hits you just the same. So clothing and sunscreen need to go together. Another external factor that destroys a lot of skin is air conditioning. It creates two problems. First, the strong cold air that hits the skin directly. Second, the low humidity in the environment. The drier the air, the more water the skin loses. That leaves everything dull, flaky, irritated. Very dry places make the skin age faster. Just humidifying the environment already changes skin comfort completely. Now comes a detail many people do not even imagine. Flushing the toilet with the lid open. I honestly do not understand it. It is almost like you want to say goodbye. You flush and stay there staring. Simple and direct. When the toilet is flushed without the lid, a cloud of particles rises and spreads. It goes into your hair, your clothes, your skin. And this is daily. Closing the lid prevents this invisible contamination. And if you are in a public bathroom without a lid, at the very least, do not stand near it when someone flushes. And another point that affects the skin a lot is clothing fabrics. Certain tight or synthetic fabrics prevent the skin from breathing, causing keratosis pilaris, body acne, ingrown hairs. Fabric that gets too hot or sticks to the skin can inflame things that were already sensitive. Choosing clothes made of better fabrics usually solves many of these issues without any effort. Even the detergent used in the washing machine can cause irritation in some people. Some fragrances and chemical components get trapped in the fabric and, in constant contact with the skin, generate inflammation. If something is bothering you for no apparent reason, sometimes the problem is right there. And when all these external factors come together, lifestyle becomes the center of the conversation because it is what multiplies or reduces all this impact. Daily habits, food, hormones, and sleep shape the appearance of the skin much more than any single product. Many people think that the perfect skincare routine can compensate for a bad lifestyle. But there is something much stronger behind all of this: lifestyle itself. It is as if the skin were a reflection of the sum of the choices you make throughout the day. And when certain choices become habits, the skin responds however it can. One of the points that shows up the most is diet. You cannot ignore that excess sugar inflames the entire body. The skin becomes more irritated, oilier, more tired. Highly processed foods create an internal environment that favors acne, sensitivity, and even rosacea in some people. When you spend weeks eating anything just to satisfy hunger, the result appears on your face. Slowly, but it appears. And then hydration comes in. Some people use the best moisturizer in the world and still have dull skin because they do not drink water. If the body is dehydrated, the skin always comes second. It is a sort of hierarchy. The body prioritizes essential organs and only then looks at the skin. That is when you get that rough, lifeless feeling that no cream can fix. Another very strong point is stress. It affects hormones in a way the skin feels immediately. High cortisol stimulates oiliness and inflames everything. People who live in a fast-paced rhythm, without pauses, without mental rest, end up noticing that their skin follows the chaos. Texture changes, dark spots worsen, acne shows up at unexpected times. Reducing stress is not overreacting. It is skin health. The menstrual cycle also has a strong influence. That premenstrual phase leaves some people with more inflamed acne, more sensitive skin, more swelling. It is not exaggeration. These are real hormonal fluctuations. When you understand the pattern of your own cycle, it becomes easier to adjust small care steps on those days. Something simple like using gentler products or reducing friction on the face already helps. Sleep is another point that always comes back. At first, it even sounds repetitive, but that is because poor sleep damages the skin in different ways. Lack of sleep increases inflammation, reduces collagen production, and affects healing. All at once. A good night's rest improves the skin faster than several products combined. The famous natural glow has much more to do with sleeping well than with makeup. Physical exercise matters too. A body in movement improves circulation, oxygenation, and even the skin's recovery ability. People who spend months without moving notice a clear difference. The skin loses vitality, becomes more dull. It does not have to be the gym. Walking already solves a lot. The body likes movement, and the skin appreciates it. And there is a final point that connects this whole lifestyle side with the central theme of skincare: the relationship between consistency and expectation. There is no point using a product once and expecting a miracle. Skin responds to what is repeated. When it understands a routine, it returns to balance. But that balance depends on small choices made every single day. After understanding the mistakes at night, in the shower, in external factors, and in lifestyle, the time comes to organize a practical routine. Something that works, that feels easy, and that anyone can follow without being tied to expensive products or endless steps. When you reach this point, you already realize that taking care of your skin is not about having a giant arsenal of products. It is about understanding what really makes a difference. But with so much information scattered around, it becomes hard to know where to start. So the idea now is to build a simple, clear routine that works for most people without complication. The foundation of everything is cleansing. Gentle cleansing. No scrubbing, no face wash that leaves your skin feeling tight. Choosing a facial cleanser that cleans without irritating already solves half the problem. It is the first step that prepares the skin to receive everything else. When you get this part right, everything works better afterward. Then comes hydration. And hydration is not just heavy creams or oily textures. It is about replenishing water and keeping the skin barrier strong. Products with a light texture work very well, especially for those who feel their skin gets heavy easily. When the skin is hydrated, it reflects light, becomes more even, and even fine lines look smaller. Hydration is that step most people overlook, but it is the one that delivers the biggest visual results. Then comes sunscreen, probably the most important item in the whole routine. It does not matter what the weather is like or if it is cloudy. The rays reach you just the same. Sunscreen prevents dark spots, slows aging, and protects in a way no other product can. Those who use sunscreen every day notice that the skin texture improves over time. The tone becomes more even, the glow returns, and spots do not worsen as much. It is the kind of care that is worth more than any expensive treatment. These 3 steps already form the essentials: clean, hydrate, and protect. If you do this every day, morning and night, you are already ahead of most people. And if you want to add something, do it gradually. A gentle acid, an antioxidant, a hydrating mask. But everything in its own time. Skin likes consistency, not excess. A routine works when it fits your life, when it does not become a burden, when it does not demand impossible effort, and when you realize that small things, done consistently, create real changes. That is how the skin responds. That is how it returns to balance. And before wrapping up, there is something important. All this knowledge only works because someone took the time to listen, to reflect, and to genuinely take care of themselves. So here's a thank you for taking your time to listen to me. I recognize the importance of understanding what can damage the skin, because that is already a big step toward healthy skin. I dedicate this video to you who decided to improve a little every day. Once again, thank you very much, and see you next time.